Students, welcome back to Redstone University. Today we're going to be talking about an interesting aspect of Minecraft, and this only applies to Java Edition, so Bedrock players, you might have to skip this episode. But if you play Java, you'll know about this, and this is Quasi Connectivity. Quasi Connectivity is something that deals with pistons, droppers, and dispensers, and it can be your best friend, but also your worst nightmare. First, we must understand quasi-connectivity. So what it is, basically, is when like a piston, dropper, dispenser think they're being powered, but they're not. So here, let me explain. So if anything is above this piston that can power, say, this lamp. So this can power this lamp. That means quasi-activity can happen with this piston. Yeah, how does that make any sense? So what happens is when anything can power the block above the piston, so this lamp of course, and then the piston gets updated by no block next to it, anything that an observer would detect, or if it's being powered and then unpowered, it will just sit like this until this turns off and something updates it. Because basically what's happening is it's like, oh, I'm being powered, and then when you turn it off, it doesn't check. And when you update, it's like, am I being powered? No, and then it retracts. Same with these. So when you enact quasi-connectivity, this will fire, but then it won't fire again because it thinks it's being powered. And same with this. And it works from any side, anything that can power that lamp. Another way to think about it is basically a door. When you power the top of the door, the bottom of the door also opens. The only difference is the bottom of the door needs to be updated. Like I said, no block, redstone line hitting it, anything to make it go, hey, am I being powered? Now if you have anything else, normal blocks like redstone lamp here, nothing's gonna happen. Because quasi-connectivity only affects those three components. We're now in the lab to discuss how we can make quasi-connectivity our best friend. So, here are some intentional ways you can use it regarding pistons mostly, but you can use it for droppers and dispensers. So, what you can do is you can have this power the block right over it, like so, and it will activate the piston right next to it here. This can help with making your circuit compacter, keeping things from interfering with other parts of your circuit. It just makes life easier. And it gives you more options when powering pistons. So you can use it comparator, repeater, and redstone dust on a transparent block as well. So that's helpful to know. 2, this is very useful, and Bedrock probably wish they had this. Let me explain. When you activate this top piston, this is being affected by quasi-connectivity because it's being activated, it updates this piston down here, which makes it so much easier to build doors that are 2 blocks high. Because normally you'd have to have something that powered this piston and this piston. But you can just stick this on top and boom, easy. So useful for that stuff. Now you can use this to trick your friends. This was showcased in an earlier episode, Pistons episode, go check that out. And this is the floating button. Now normally you would have half slabs here, but we're going to use glass to make it easier to see what's happening. So, when you press this button, this is constantly updating this, which is constantly updating this dispenser, or actually dropper, and because of that, when this is powered, it will drop this into a hopper, and then that will detect that, setting into T flip-flop, turn this lamp on and off. So, regarding the grounds of simple circuits create complex contraptions, all this is a T flip-flop connected to a quasi connectivity circuit and a clock. And all those you can learn about in previous videos. Finally, we have the torch key, which is pretty cool, because this you can hide your base in, and we'll dig deeper into that in a minute. And basically, it uses quasi connectivity too, because you see this here, you would think nothing of it, but then you place this torch, and then something happens, and that's because of quasi connectivity again. This piston down here, place this torch here, and then quasi activity happens. It pushes it up, updates its observer, sending into this T flip-flop, turn this lamp on and off. So this is how we can make quasi activity our best friend. And the great thing about quasi activity is the fact that it just gives us more options to power pistons and stuff like that. Now, this does come at a cost, and we will talk about cost in a minute. Alright, so we revisit a world that we've visited multiple times, and here is just a plain forest, nothing to see here. But if you place a torch in the right spot, here, nope, here, nope, maybe here, yep. And that's what's nice about this. You can place a torch right on it like this, and it still won't activate. Only if you place a torch right on this block, it'll activate. So it severely lessens the chance that someone will find this. So then you can have this, and you just go down. You can hook something up to that to close it up. But if you're only going down here to visit for a few minutes, maybe take some gold. You could write down something like this. You could have some plans to attack the enemy. Just whatever you want down here, and no one will find it. Like, you would keep the most valuable thing ever, the sacred text, something like that, anything. You could keep your pet dog down here, doesn't matter. It's going to be extremely hard to find. Now if you have some like X-ray mod, okay, can't help you there. But for a normal person, you're not going to find this. And then when you're done with all that, press this button, spring you out, and then just boom. And then if you stay in long enough, it'll turn like this, and then grass will spread and like it was never there. Or if you have a silk touch shovel, just replace dirt. Easy peasy. And you can have this in, you can have a tree that the stump goes away. The possibilities are limitless. You're only limited by your imagination and redstone knowledge, which I can help you with one of those. Now, we look at quasi connectivity when it decides to not play in your favor. So, first up, let's say you have this redstone circuit, and you're trying to transport a signal upward, and you just cannot use a torch tower, and this is like your last hope. Or you just want to do it because, why not? So you're like, okay, this is easy. I can just, in order to keep this from interfering with this line, I just use redstone block with piston top, because redstone blocks can be pushed. Easy. And it's like, what goes up in Minecraft doesn't always have to come back down. And that's what happens with this. It stays there forever. It's like, I'm just not coming down. And it's like, well, that kind of defeats the purpose. So, here's a workaround. You can use a cauldron or a composter, fill it with water, and then use a comparator. And then all you need to do is have a repeater if you want to take the line very far. And then when you activate it, activates that, and then deactivate it, piece of cake. And you can also use this horizontally to keep it from interfering with other things, like other pistons or other lines, because this has nothing to do with redstone other than comparators. Like, without comparators, this would have nothing at all to do with redstone. Alright, now let's say you have two separate lines. One line running over pistons and one line that actually has something to do with pistons. So normally with a circuit, when this line's activated, you have pistons activate. Alright? And then when this is activated, the pistons are not supposed to activate. Okay. But then what if both of them get activated? And then they deactivate. Uh-oh. Houston, we have a problem. This is not okay for your circuit. Because when you turn this back on, these are not going to extend and that's not going to update or anything. You're going to be screwed. So, let's think. How can we avoid this? Well, we can put a repeater over it, because then this block's no longer be powered. Because you have to think about it. These blocks are being soft-powered by the redstone on top of it. And they are technically powering the top here. If you put a lamp here, it'd be on. You could put that, repeater, comparator, or you could go in a different method. Put a transparent block, or a half slab. Both work with redstone on top. And now, when you activate this, those are fine. And here's the original. Yep, causing trouble, like always. In order for you to get it back, you have to update that, and it's just a big mess. And it's like, come on. So, here are a few ways you can avoid quasi connectivity and its weirdness. And now for extra credit. What I want you to do is I want you to build a contraption involving a lot of pistons. Because when you're building contraptions that have many pistons, you are guaranteed to run into quasi connectivity issues and areas where you can use it to help you. No, don't build the thing behind me. No, please try not to build that. We're not ready for that. But something like this is much easier. So, let me demonstrate it first. Very silly contraption. When I press this button, it basically enacts quasi connectivity on this piston. Now, it's completely useless, but that's what makes it funny. So, what it does is, as you can tell, there's a lot of redstone back here, is it satisfies the requirements for quasi connectivity to happen. When that redstone block pops out, it is powering the block above here, and this block raised and lowered, updating this piston. So that's basically how it works. Now to prove that I'm not cheating by powering the block right underneath the piston, all I have to do is convert this all to transparent blocks, because then I actually can't, and by updating this piston, it turns off because it's technically not being powered, but quasi connectivity makes it think it is. So basically how this works is, as you can tell, you can look behind the scenes because it's all glass. There's a block swapper, it swaps the redstone block out, and when the block is here, this updates this piston, and then when it gets removed, nothing updates it, so it just stays extended forever. So that's sort of what I want you to do. You could build something simple, complex, just as long as it involves pistons. And I guarantee that you will run into quasi connectivity if you use enough pistons in your circuit. I mean, this circuit by itself, although it enacts quasi connectivity, I had some issues with it with the redstone behind me. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I hope that after learning all this stuff about quasi connectivity, that is now a tool and not just some issue that you hate dealing with. Because now you have more opportunities and more ways to power pistons, droppers, and dispensers than you once thought. And now that you know about quasi connectivity, it's no longer that much of a pain. I mean, it's still going to be annoying, but it's not going to be something that restricts you entirely when building with redstone. So, if you have any questions about quasi connectivity, put it down in the comment section below. So me or someone else will answer that. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. It will really help. And if there's anyone else that you think would benefit from learning all this stuff, go ahead and share. I hope you enjoyed, and students, you are dismissed.